that good looking skin.
Because he uses Melise
I use the
products.
Melise products every day.
All right, let's officially welcome you to Friday Night Live with John
And Patty.
and our special co-host guest, Dr. Linda Nelson. All right, there we go. All right, my announcements. Okay, we've been asking this the past few months. We want to know what you want to learn about. What topics do you want us to discuss? So, we all know John loves to talk and he can pretty much talk on anything. So, let us know your thoughts, your ideas, what you're struggling with, what is a good topic that you want to learn about, and we'll be happy to do a presentation Zoom on that. All right, as always, we have our alternative health community page, which is private just to alternative health clients. It's not open to the public, so we can ask questions there and share our recipes and our meals and our struggles, and help each other out. Our next Zoom class is 1 month from tonight, March 21st. And the topic to be determined. And just want you all to know that gift certificates, any time of year, any day, any special occasion that you are celebrating, you need something from us, you tell your loved ones, hey, call Alternative Health and get me a gift certificate, and we will take care of them. All right, so tonight.
Okay, before we move on, Patty mentioned something that I like to talk.
Sorry.
That I like to talk. So if you know of organizations that are looking for somebody to speak about wellness, holistic wellness especially, let me know. I'd love to do presentations and talk to people about wellness and let them know some of the things that they can do to take care of themselves. So I just thought I'd throw that in. Okay. So as we mentioned, Dr. Nelson's with us. I already did the introduction and told you my feelings. And I think after you listen to her, you're going to have, for those of you who've not met her, will have the same feeling. So go ahead. Dr. Nelson founded the company in 1981 and started mentoring me in 1999. So I have been there for quite some time and knowing her inside and out. And I know that everything she talks about can be used by everybody.
Oops, why am I going the wrong way? There we go.
So we wanted to start out with quick fix solutions for weight loss and wellness, okay? And before I turn it over to Dr. Nelson, I titled it this because I was hoping people were saying, you know what is that quick fix? And I'm going to start out by telling you there is no quick fix. Period. End of conversation. Just like anything else in life, anything worthwhile takes effort and work and dedication. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Nelson.
Okay. I'm just going to take just 1 second to kind of tell you what my background is, because whatever's going on with you in your life, I've been there. And so if I go clear back to, 1942, which I was born, and my mother was a registered nurse, and antibiotics came on the market. Penicillin became the go-to for everything. And so no matter whatever happened to us during our childhood, we would be put on penicillin. And we know that there was nothing else during that in the 40s and 50s that actually solved bacteria problems. And it solved everything. So they used it for everything. So by the time I got in high school, I was sick. My immune system was crashed. Nothing really worked. And I was allergic to everything. Everything that came along, I got. I couldn't sleep. I had anxiety. I mean, everything. And I was not overweight, but I was extremely underweight. And of course, I would go to the doctor and I would be given a drug, a prescription for whatever that symptom was. And so this became a really vicious cycle. When I was a senior in high school, because I was in so much pain in my hips, my doctor, um, who interestingly enough, his name was Dr. Gross, he decided that he was going to get rid of the pain by taking the muscle out of my hip that was causing the pain. So I've been clear since early 1950s without one of the structural muscles with the IT band in my leg, which obviously has caused other issues because structure is really critical. But by the time I got through college and got married and started having kids, I was a mess. I honestly didn't think I was going to live to raise my kids. I was sick all the time. Everything was an issue. I was on more than 30 prescription medications a day at that time. And after my last son was born, I had a friend who said, I know a naturopath in California that you ought to go down and talk to. And I kind of felt the reason that I really kind of bonded to John is because it's kind of the same thing. We had tried everything, and somebody says a naturopath in California could probably help me. And it was just such a crazy idea. I was from a conventional medical background. My parents were in medicine. But I went down and met with him, and he did the same thing to me that I did to John. Like half an hour, he said, everything that's wrong with you is being caused by a toxic body. And if you'll stay down here for a month, I will teach you how to get well. And I said, I've got little kids at home. I can't stay down here for a month, but I could stay for a week and see if it works, which I think now how wild it was that I thought I could give somebody that job to fix me after 30 years of being sick in a week. But he did exactly what we have done and formed our whole company on. He said, we're going to detoxify the liver, the bowels, the kidney. We're going to purify the blood. I'm going to teach you what to eat, and let's start at the source. Let's get every organ working. So I did just the same thing that we do now. I drank lemon juice, distilled water, pure maple syrup. I took all of his nutrients. And I want to tell you, I was really sick the first couple of days. I had a lot of toxin to get rid of. But he was awesome. He just talked me through every single day. You're feeling this way. You're going to feel worse before you feel better. And that's what I really loved about John and Patty, because they don't just give you something and say, let me know if it works. They really, what I say now is they really take you and love you well. And that's what Dr. Donspa did for me. And so the first 2 days I was really sick. This next day I kind of woke up and thought, I kind of feel better. And by the time I left there in 7 days, it was, I felt almost like I was well. And I said, write everything down. Tell me everything I have to do. Give me the herbs that I need to be taking. And so when I went home, I stayed on that for a month and I felt fabulous. I stayed on it for 3 months. I felt fabulous. And that's become my lifestyle. I went off 30 medications that first week. I'm going to talk a little about prescription medications, but one of the reasons I really feel like I stay well is that I find a natural solution for something. I'm not saying you should never be on a chemical prescription, because there are times when you should. But my goal is to find a solution that supports your body to be healthy. Your bodies really want to be healthy. And it doesn't take very much to kickstart it. If you don't drink enough water, if you went a week and drank half your body weight in ounces of water, you would notice a difference in a week. If you cut sugar out of your diet, in a week, your life will change. Your body wants to be healthy. We have to give it the ingredients to do that. And I don't know if all of you have been on programs, but it's a combination of detox and eating the right foods and exercise and controlling stress and all things that stimulate your body to want to be healthy. One of the things that I'm not going to say has been concerning to me, because it's been going on for a very, very long time, is how if something comes out that looks like a quick fix, we all jump on it. I don't know how many of you remember, clear back in the 1970s, the weight loss solution in the 1970s was amphetamines. You can click that, Patty, for me.
Okay, sure.
Amphetamines. Well, you know what the issue with amphetamines is that you become a drug addict. You become addicted to drug, and amphetamines they make it so that you don't want to eat. You become very gaunt, and it led to the first introduction to drug abuse. And everything kind of went away for a few years, but I don't know if you remember, not in the middle of 1990s, fen-phen became the new rage, and we were in the midst of business when fen-phen came about. We were all over the world. We were in 17 different countries, and we had a big U.S. market, and fen-phen became exactly what's happening now in the weight loss industry. Everybody wanted fen-phen, and there was a little segment of holistic people who kept saying, fen-phen's not going to be the answer. It wasn't tested long enough. It wasn't tested for side effects. And we were teaching. That's what we do in our company. We teach people how to be healthy. But everybody jumped on the bandwagon, and it worked exactly the same as what we're seeing now. But people started having heart attacks and heart valve problems. And when they would go off it, they would gain every bit of weight back plus more, because their entire metabolism had been destroyed. And to this day, people who were a long time on fen-phen still have autoimmune disorders. So I guess the lesson there is don't jump on every bandwagon. You know how the body works. The body responds in a very, very specific way. Okay, you can flip that.
Yep, this is the next one.
Okay. Okay, so they kept trying, after fen-phen was banned, they kept trying to find something new. I'm not dragging the pharmaceutical companies, but they have a very specific market, which is finding something that keeps us on a drug. And because of the backlash of fen-phen, it took them quite a few years to been through stomach stapling and bypassing and a lot of surgical things that were used. So now all of a sudden we're getting Ozempic, we're getting 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 different brands of that same drug coming out with copies. It has been on the market for a while, but it was prescribed specifically for type 2 diabetes. And how it works is it alters what tastes good to you and how hungry you are and how full you are. And when Hollywood decided that this became a really good thing for weight loss, it became a rage. And I will tell you, I talk to people every single day that are on the new generation of drugs. They're $1,000 a month. And we'll talk about what some of the side effects on, but they're really scary. They work like an appetizer. They make you feel full, and that's how people are losing an enormous amount of weight in a very short period of time. Okay. Okay, this just says, before you fall for the new magic cure, we need to talk about what all the side effects are. And I've had an interesting morning this morning. My daughter is a therapist at a women's medical clinic, and I was there this morning talking to one of the female physicians there, and they are setting out the alarm of what these weight loss drugs are doing. And I've had friends go on them, and I know personally a lot of what's happening with these. But there are way more side effects now than there have been of anything else that is on the market. Okay.
Oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Okay, side effects.
Skipping.
Okay, was there one right before this?
I think, yeah, sorry, there we go. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, I had a friend who has always sort of had a weight issue, but not anymore, because she's actually detoxed, and she's watches what she eats, and we spend a lot of time together. And I think I don't know if I'm a good influence on her, or if she just is intimidated, but she's been down to a really cute weight and feels really awesome. And her daughter-in-law talked her into going on the new weight loss drug, the injectable one. And 2 days in, she got so sick that she went to bed, but she kept taking it, but she just kept getting sicker, and she finally went off everything, and it took a week or so for her to get well again. She thought she maybe just had the flu, and so she started the injections again, and the exact same thing happened, and ended her up in the ER. So there are symptoms that people who really have wanted to lose weight, and it's the ultimate for their mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever, to be 60 pounds lighter, have all these symptoms, but it's worth it to them. Long term, it's not going to be worth it. But nausea and diarrhea, terrible abdominal pains, and vomiting. There are getting to be more and more suicides that are traced back to injectable weight loss. One of the most concerning is that there's a huge increase on thyroid cancer, directly related back to injectable weight loss drugs. Constipation. This morning when I was talking to this doctor, she said one of the things that we're the most concerned about is that if somebody loses 60 pounds, 40 of those pounds are muscle. And so for one thing, you have no structure. You look very, very saggy, and you look very different because you don't have muscle. It ages you terribly. But the main reason that that's a crisis is because muscle is what burns calories. And so it reduces your metabolic rate. Your body burns fewer calories than it does now. And when you go off the injectables, if you lose 60 pounds and you say, oh, I'm really happy with where I am now, I'm just going to go off, almost 100% are gaining all the weight back plus more, but they've lost 40% of their muscle. And that becomes a really huge, big, long-term health issue. So I think we need to be really more educated, and we need to make sure we know what we're getting into, because you cannot stop it. If you think you can microdose it, but if you think you can go off it after you've gotten down to your goal weight, almost assuredly you're going to gain all that weight back, but you're going to lose all the muscle mass in your body. Okay. So how do we get to where we want to be? Know that as we age, there aren't a whole lot of really great things that happen when you get older, but one of the great things that happen is that you look better with a little more weight than when you were younger. I remember back in high school, people called me Skinny Minnie or Bony Maroney. I was so skinny. And as I started having children, I thought, oh my gosh, I want to go back to being thinner. And it took me a little while to figure out that I looked better, but mostly I felt better when I weighed a little bit more. So don't in your head think you want to go back and be the same weight that you were in high school or in college or when you were very first out planning your life. Because we do look better when we've got more collagen, more elastin, and our skin fits our body. But know that the programs that John and Patty have you on essentially are teaching you how to eat the right foods, to go back to the source. 90% of all health issues that any of us are dealing with, all go back to the main organ of the body, which is the colon. So detoxification is critical. Learning how to eat the right foods is critical. Exercise is critical. Doesn't need to be a whole lot, but even if you went out and walked for 15 minutes a day, your body will change and you'll feel different. Your body needs to exercise. You need to keep well hydrated. You need to, in fact, I have let's see if I can find that really fast. I have a kind of cute thing that I'll keep looking as I talk here, that talk about anxiety and depression. And stress and anxiety and depression are health killers. So we need to learn how to de-stress. We need to learn how to exercise. And once you get to your goal weight, know that if you've been off sugar, if you haven't drunk enough water, if you don't exercise, your body will tell you that you need to do that to keep healthy. Sometimes that's a really hard thing to do. We've got family that doesn't want us to detoxify and doesn't want us to not make cake and brownies and have soda. And so a lot of times when you're on a program, you have friends and family who want to sabotage you. Your worst sabotagers are your family, you know. So you need to be really tough. And get educated. The one thing that I've really loved about John and Patty, and I have worked with hundreds of thousands of people in the last 45 years. I have never worked with John and Patty team that want to educate you. And when I say they want to love you well, they really do want to love you well. And makes a difference. I have people all the time that have worked with them that tell me how they've changed their lives. So it's hard. It's really hard to be healthy. You have to eat right. You have to exercise. You have to manage stress. You have to learn how to deal with not getting enough sleep. It's really easy to be sick. You don't have to do anything. You can lay on the couch and eat whatever you want. You don't have to exercise. You can be mad at people all the time. It's hard to be well. And you need mentors. Most of us need a mentor to help us through that process until we know how to be well, and we're not going to do something. I would never do something that took me back to being as sick as I was. I don't think John would ever do anything to take him back to where he was. But the process getting there, you've got somebody who will hold your hand. And I'll tell something on John. I have people call me that say, I'm kind of scared of him. He's mean. And I say, yes, and he's going to get you well. He's going to teach you and get you well. And then I said, and you know, he's a military man, right? Okay, so he's using all of his expertise to teach you how to be well. So you're really lucky. You're the luckiest part of the country because you've got them to help you. Okay.
All right.
Okay, 5 billion are overweight. 2 billion never exercise. Less than 1% stick to a plan long enough to see results. I have people start and stop, and then I get to somebody like John acted like I was really mean to him. But I get people who will start and then they'll say, "Oh, my friend came and I had to have chocolate cake." And I pretty soon get to a point where I say, "Do you know what? When you really want to do it, call me back because I don't have time. I don't have time to babysit you through chocolate cake." So less than 1% will get well. Being healthy and fit makes you well. It makes you rare. Being disciplined makes you unstoppable. And let me just talk about overweight. My goal really is to teach people how to be healthy weight. We get kind of a false image of what being overweight is. When you're healthy, you'll weigh what you should weigh. Okay. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to eliminate ultra processed foods. We're going to go off sugar and alcohol. I try very hard to be off sugar, but if I've totally been off sugar for a while, a month or 2 months or a year, it takes 10 seconds for me to eat something with sugar, and I get a headache immediately. And that's kind of my body saying, hey, you do better without sugar. Eat real whole food. You might think it's more expensive to eat healthy foods, but maybe not so much anymore. Somebody just told me they spent $40 at McDonald's to feed their family. So maybe real whole foods aren't so much more these days. Good proteins. We need protein. We need healthy fats. Anything that's an inflammatory food we want to take out of our diet. We need to detoxify. We need to deal with stress, get educated on how your body heals, and let John and Patty love you well. These are all the things that'll change. All of these things will change. Your weight will change. Your bone density will change. Your inflammation will change. Cognition will change, which is really critical with me as I get older. The worst thing that could happen to me is my mother had Alzheimer's for 13 years. So it's really in my head all the time to do all these things. Energy comes back, sleep comes back, mental health is improved, self-esteem, mood, confidence, stress. Those are all the things that we want to happen in our life. We deserve to have a happy, stress-free, fulfilled life. But the only one that can do it is us. So if you need a little help, take advantage of that. Take advantage of somebody that will teach you to be all the things that you deserve to be. So this is John and Patty's program here. Are they all getting to see this slide?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
you got it. That's all the things that they're going to teach you how to do. I'm sure most of you have been on a program and you know how you feel. Really easy to slide back. It's really hard to start over, but sometimes we have to start over 2 or 3 times till it really clicks for us. Better if it only happens the first time.
Yes. Great. All right.
You got any input, John? Oh, here, you can
Yes.
talk about that one.
Yes. It's amazing. Dr. Nelson talked about, people starting and stopping and stuff like that. And I've seen this over the 25 plus years that I've been working with Dr. Nelson, that so many people, oftentimes several things happen. Number one, there's too many other things in their life, between work, between family, et cetera, and I just can't take the time to get myself well. And if you really stop and think about it, that's kind of an oxymoron, because if we don't take care of ourselves, what good is all the other things that we preach about that we want to do in our life? And we kind of put that on the side, and I believe it's an excuse, 100 total excuse, because we have to eat. And if you're going to eat, you might as well eat healthy and get rid of the sugar and all the garbage stuff and just eat healthy food, because we know you're going to eat. So the people that start, I've learned over the years, and when I first started, I'm going to tell this quick story. Patty remembers it. It was the first time we went to training, or Patty actually went to training with me in Utah. And I was sitting in the class, and we used to sit way in the back because we got phone calls, and having multiple offices and stuff. I get phone calls so we could step out real quick and answer questions for our staff and or clients, because everybody knows that everybody has my personal cell number. So a conversation came up. I was sitting in the back and in class training, and I said, it really bothers me when people won't listen to what I tell them to do. They won't, I want to help them. They won't listen to me and stuff. And Dr. Nelson was doing the presentation, and she walked down the middle aisle right to the back, all the people there. And she said to me, and she pointed at me and says, "John, you know what your problem is?" And, my first thought was, couldn't we wait until break time, maybe, But she said, "Your problem is that you care too much about the people that don't care about themselves." And she said, when you start letting those people go and quit worrying about them and just worry about the people that want to get well, you are going to be much better for those people who want to get well, and you'll get them even more well. And at first, I just kind of thought, wow. Well, if I didn't really say wow, I was thinking, well, okay, whatever. But after I thought about it, it made so much sense. And I changed from that time, and that had to be what, like 2000, when did you start?
6, 7.
Probably 6 or 7, 2006 or 7. And that's why sometimes I had a young lady in today, and I did a consultation. She's 29 years old, raging candida. And she said, I really don't want to shock my body. I want to start slow. I don't want to, and I just said, well, you can start slow, but you have to understand you got to get well. And so I feel that, we have to be honest with ourselves and say, look, we're either going to get well or we're not. We're either going to change our lifestyle or we're not going to change our lifestyle, because it's all up to us. And that's why I don't work too well with people who are on the fence or saying, I can't really get started. I got too much going on. I've learned just to say, you know what? Again, like Dr. Nelson says, when you're ready to get well, call me and we'll get you well. There's no and if buts about it. And somebody today told me, said, well, everybody's body is different. It's not. If we eat right, get rid of the sugar, get rid of the alcohol, get the right nutrients in our body, start sleeping, the body is basically the same and it'll get well. I had another lady just the other day text me, and she said, I've been on this medication for years and I never read the side effects until today. And she said, she went over the side effects, and a lot of them are the ones that Dr. Nelson showed. But one of them, the last side effect says, can cause instant death. Wow. I mean, right on the label, she said, I never read that before. I said, are you going to talk to your doctor? She said, no, I'm not going to take it. I refuse. But so the thing is, we have to make up our mind as to what we have to do for ourselves. And there's a great article that we got, and I'm going to ask Patty to send it to everybody, email it to everybody that's on here. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's got quite a bit to it, but it's entitled, What If Your Body Knows How to Heal, but the System Doesn't Want You to Trust It? And really the gist of it is very much like Dr. Nelson mentioned. He goes on to talk, it's a chiropractor who believes in fully holistic, and talks about how we have to step out of the mainstream. Instead of the quick fix that, everybody's jumping on to take the shot and give yourself a shot. And for me, I hate needles, so giving myself a shot is just not going to work. So I'm exempt from that, okay? But it talks about in this how we have to embrace self-trust and personal choice. And we have to understand what makes our body work. And it talks about the healthcare label per se, and how we fall into this trap about following the mainstream. And I really think that if when you get this, as long as you want it, I think if you read it, it'll kind of give you some insight as to how you have to just say to yourself, I'm going to break free from a cycle of dread and all the stuff that you hear, and just become you and take care of your body like you would your car, like your home, your family. Just take care of yourself and understand the right way to do it. And that's what we teach, is the right way to do it. So this is an article. So when you get it, it's by a Dr. Joseph Mercola. And the date on it is just February 17th. It's just a few days ago that it was written. And discover the hidden flaws in modern healthcare and why it keeps you dependent. I just think that's huge. So I would like everybody to read that and get some feedback on it if you so desire. Okay. So I'd like to, can you open the screen up?
I sure
I'd
can.
like to open it up for questions that you might want to ask Dr. Nelson. ask a question, or you can message it to us, and we can, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to answer it. So we do have some, okay, the stuff about the skincare, well, I'll get to that, or we can talk about that. Which personal care products do you use on your services or a product close to it for a body rep, facial, and so forth? What? Do you understand that?
That's kind of a loaded question there. So the body wrap, we'll just talk quick about the body wrap. The body contour cream is not something that we sell retail. It's only meant for spa use. But
Same with the lift.
and the facial lift as well. The clay we can sell retail, like we showed you earlier.
The body scrub.
The body
Sometimes
buff,
you
right?
get-
Right.
Yeah.
The facial products are some of the ones we talked about earlier. So maybe Judy, you can email me later and clarify what you're looking for.
Somebody else asked about, can you talk about the Zytoscan? Yes, the Zytoscan, most of you have had it. And maybe it's kind of like, how does it do it? Basically, what the Zytoscan does with your hand on the device, it's really asking your body questions, hundreds of questions, and your body's responding to those questions through the software. And it answers those questions. And that's why when everything comes up, because everything works together, Dr. Nelson said, control stress. Why do you have to control stress? Well, that's part of your emotions, okay? Your emotions affect the certain organs in your body. Certain organs affect the parts of the vertebrae. The vertebrae affects organs and motions, et cetera, et cetera. So everything is combined. And so it asks those questions, that lays it out to say, this is what happened, or this is what your body is going through. So the young lady I did the scan on today, the first thing that jumped up was Candida. And when you have Candida, you have to get rid of Candida before you can really look at anything else, because that's the mother load there. That takes over everything. You have to take care of that before you're going to get well, and to include lose weight. All right. So it's really important that we know what our body's doing, what our body wants, what our body needs, and that's really what the Zytoscan is all about.
I have a
Wonderful.
question, John. I've been talking to the same people over and over again in my circle about how effective this program was for me. And at the time, when I logged into this program, was one of the worst times in my life. And I still managed to go through it and not fail, because I was determined that at least one thing in my life I was going to have control over. But at any rate, the one person of this couple that I'm more concerned about than the other is she has a lot of anxiety, and she's on probably 20 medications between, the anxiety, and then you have to take a medication to stop the tremors because of the anxiety medication. And then you have other issues that you have to take medication for because of the side effects of those medications. So
Yep.
If she does decide at some point, I know anxiety comes from a different place, but will some of that subside based on
Absolutely.
getting physically better?
Absolutely. Because emotions, physical, mental, and spiritual is all connected. All right. I used to have anxiety so bad. When I met Dr. Nelson, I used to black out for no apparent reason. I took more rides in an ambulance thinking I was having a heart attack than I would care to remember. Okay. I have not had any of that since. All right. Even though Patty puts me through a lot of stress working with her. Okay. But the thing is, no, yes, when you heal everything. So because we're not working with a symptom, we're working with the whole body.
And she's got to want to do
Your
it, Kim,
mouth.
too.
Yes. And one thing Dr. Nelson told me one time, and when she first told me this, it was after I was working with her, but I didn't necessarily believe it, but it turned out to be 100% true. There are some people that want to be sick. Okay. It's hard to believe, but that's their identity. I think is what Dr. Nelson said. That's their identity. And they don't want to get well because they lose the ability for people to feel sorry for them and take care of them and all this stuff. Okay. So they end up making themselves sicker. So we have to understand everybody has a different mentality. So, Kim, you may talk to them until you're blue in the face and they may tell you that they want to be well, but they're not willing to actually do it because of certain other aspects that you're not aware of, to be honest.
Well, that,
Not-
and I do see the anxiety, I think, is the biggest part of it, making a change
Mhm.
that
So,
may
Okay.
send her backwards a little bit, because we all know that you do go a little bit backwards when you're
yeah,
on a
well,
program.
start slow. Sometimes we have to
sick for a
start
little
slow.
bit
Dr.
before you
Nelson
get
taught me
better.
that. Once in a while, we have to start a little slower. But another question is intermittent fasting and 1 meal a day healthy ways of eating good foods? I'm going to tell you my opinion. Okay. And Dr. Nelson, if you have a different opinion, feel free. I personally am not a fan of intermittent fasting. And I'll tell you why. I believe that if we eat right, we eat healthy, we eat right. We don't eat when we're not hungry. We learn to get rid of the sugars and et cetera, that we can be healthy and we don't have to say, okay, it is 9 o'clock in the morning and I can't eat until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I got to make sure I eat at 4 because I got to be done. Two things happen. I think we get confused with that. And number two, a lot of times people have a tendency, which I've talked to, that before that time comes when they can't eat, they eat too much to try to carry themselves over the time that they can't eat. I don't necessarily like that idea, or when they can't eat, they eat too much because they're overly hungry. I believe eat hungry. And for me, and if we don't eat before bed, 2 or 3 hours before bed, and you get a good 8 hours sleep, and you get up in the morning and do your stuff, you've kind of intermittent fasted anyway. That's my opinion. Okay. If you drink water, that's going to keep you from being overly hungry. I'm not against it if it works for you. It's just not something that I believe that people that have eating disorders or sugar addictions, that it really works for them. That's just my opinion. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying for me, it's not something that I recommend openly. Dr. Nelson, do you have anything on that?
No, I agree. I agree. I agree. If you talk about intermittent fasting, my whole thing is if you would detox every quarter, every 3 months, then that's the best fasting you can do. Intermittent fasting does not cleanse the liver and the bowels and the kidney. It doesn't purify the blood. All it does is regulate when you take calories in. And like John said, I think most people who do intermittent fasting eat more than they would normally eat in the hours that they can, which is all you're doing is sticking all your calories into a shorter period of time.
Okay. Any other questions? You're not going to let Dr. Nelson get off the hook that easy, are you? Really?
Ultimately, how long did it take you from when you first got on any kind of program?
It took me 1 week because my whole life changed in 1 week. Not totally, but I could see such a major difference in a week that I was just committed to following the program. And I will tell you, I came home from California after I'd been there a week and said, okay, no more sugar in the house, no more red meat. We're not going to eat so much red meat. And I talk about rebellion. I had an entire family of rebels. So have a lot of good suggestions on how to get through that. But I think if you felt horrible and your health has been horrible and you can see a light at the end of the tunnel, it's crazy not to do it.
Oh, yes. Who else has a question? Anything?
Question
Nobody?
about the drugs, Ozempic and all that, the side effect of nausea, vomiting, constipation. It seems like that would be an effect of the drug because it lowers gastric motility and all the motility and motion of your stomach, and you causes you to be less hungry, inducing malnutrition, and so you don't eat. But anyway, the gastric motility is reduced, so you're automatically going to have nausea, vomiting, and constipation at least. So
Mhm.
that would be an effect rather than a side effect, but no matter who wants it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
You
exactly.
you lose all your hydration and all your nutrients. That's a problem.
Yep. And if we don't get nutrition, we're out of luck. It's like you're not putting gas in your car and wanting to run. Okay.
Excuse me, John, Judy,
Yes.
the Candida program, if somebody's already done it and they want to do it again after, a few years after doing the detoxes, would they do a month or a 2 month, or could you just kind of review
Well, you
Um,
could do it
the
whatever you
benefit?
want. If a person's let themselves go, to a certain degree, it would be longer. The sicker you are, the longer you need to rebuild the immune system and eradicate. I personally I do a Candida program about every other year and do it for a month. Not because I think I necessarily have Candida, but because I know that's a healthiest program to be on. It's the quickest one to really rebuild everything at once, because you're so restricted on, what you can and cannot put in your body. So therefore your body heals much faster. I'm taking more of the supplements, etc., and I'm just more dedicated. So you can do a Candida program even though you don't think you have Candida, because it's really the immune system is what you're rebuilding, to be honest with you. So
Mhm.
yes, I've had people, I won't say names. There's a person on here that went through our program a good number of years ago and came back and about 4 months ago, and she told me just the other day, man, when I first came back in here, I thought I was dying. But she'd went through a Candida program, and now she's right on track and doing great. And
Mhm.
I won't say the name, but they're on here.
Well, who
She's on
I'm
here.
like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
And just brain kicked in.
Her initials are.
What's that?
Dr. Nelson said, and her initials are.
And
So,
John, would their supplements be tailored to that particular person if they were doing it again, or would it be doing the same
would
thing they
be-
did initially?
there's a
That
basic
really helped.
Candida. There's a basic Candida formula, certain supplements, and then based on any extra issues, whether it be hormones, whether it be joint pain, whatever, then we add different things into it if necessary. But for the most part,
Okay.
it's the same as what you did.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
John, is there a certain age at which somebody needs to get consent from their doctor before starting like a detoxification program?
No, there's no. I'm working with a gentleman just finished his first week. He's 86 years old. I put him on a program last week. But everybody in our agreements, it says if that you can visit with your doctor, you're encouraged to, and do that. But here's the problem and I had a gentleman, a month ago, probably. He so unhealthy, put him on a program, went to his doctor, and his doctor said, he's not healthy enough to do your program. To me, I told him, when he told me that, I said, well, if it was me, knowing what I know, I'd ask for a second opinion or get a different doctor. Because what are we talking about? We're talking about getting rid of junk food. We're talking about getting rid of the alcohol they was drinking. We're talking about, eating healthy food and taking 100% pure nutrients. But is that saying that you're well enough to do all the bad things, but you're not well enough or you're too sick to do the good things? That makes absolutely no sense. So everybody that does an agreement with us they're told, go see your doctor, bounce it off your doctor, whatever. But most doctors will just say, oh, you know what? That's not going to work. And I don't mean to be picking on medicine, but that's what happens 9 times out of 10. And they're fooled into believing that there's no other way than the medical route. So very similar to that article that I'm going to send you.
Great.
But any age,
Nothing would be unsafe for an older person to detox for the first time that they would need to be aware of, or
Dr. Nelson, I'll let you address that if you would.
Because I'm the older person.
I'm right there with you.
I will tell you when I would have concern is if they're on lots and lots of prescription medication. My goal, there are times and circumstances when prescription medication is critical, but most medication are what I call predatory drugs, which means you take one and it solves a symptom, but it always causes another symptom. So that's how you get from one prescription to 30. But you can never cold turkey prescriptions. So if someone is on 20, 25 prescriptions, or if they're concerned about it, I really would like their doctors to monitor them through weaning off drugs. So, and I've worked with people with doctors to do that. You can't cold turkey go off like Dilantin for seizures. You can't cold turkey go off depression medication or anxiety medication. So, but you can wean off them, and the healthier you get, the less they should be taking. But I'm really comfortable with a doctor monitoring through going through off medication.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they've got a concern, I would always say go check with your doctor. But I don't very seldom have somebody who says, do you know what? I think I just want you to work with me, and if I have a concern about a specific thing, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about 2 different approaches to health, really.
And I never tell somebody to come off their medication, never. Okay. In fact, that's part of the agreement too.
We
But
would
I
like
do tell
them
them
to eventually.
Oh yeah, but I remember when I met Dr. Nelson, I told her what the doctor had said, and she said, "What medication?" And I said, "I'm not on any. I threw them all out." I remember the look on her face was like, "Well, I don't know about that," but so that's what I had done the day the doctor told me that. I threw everything away.
I guess it could
So-
get too, though, that if somebody's on a blood pressure medication and they're continuing to heal their body, all of a sudden maybe certain medications could actually start harming someone if they're taking them when they don't need them. So they really should, somebody that's on a lot of medications really should be consulting with their doctor or being monitored so that they're not actually harming themselves by taking medications as they're healing, correct?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I've had people that I've told, go see your doctor so they can monitor, and then they'll cut them back on their medication or take them off of medication, because that's our ultimate goal in reality. So,
Thank
okay,
you.
anybody else? Go ahead. Did you have something else, Don?
No, I have a million questions, but probably not for this call.
Okay. All right. Any other questions before we do our drawing? Yes, Anna. You're muted.
What's the name?
Right.
If someone is trying to lose weight and they've put like 40 pounds on, what is your recommendation? A program? Or, I mean, I detox about every 3 months,
Uh-huh.
but I need to lose this weight. I don't want to lose muscle either.
Right. Well, are you talking about yourself?
Uh-huh.
Most of yours is stress, my dear. Most of yours is stress. That's why you're not losing. You got to learn to control the stress. You got to learn to breathe, not let everything in the world bother you. Not that you do, of course. I've only known you for 20 some years. So you just got to let things go. Life is too short to worry about everything, and let it go. And then things will change. That I can tell you. But you got to keep, because you and I both know there's times you come in and things look great, and then things happen in our life, and then you kind of fall down. So you just got to learn to control that. You do great most of the time. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, then we'll do our drawing then. We do 4 drawings. The first one is a $100 gift certificate. You can use it for products, services, whatever you want, but you have to use it by the close of business of March 20th.
And he said, whatever you want, but it doesn't apply to massage or acupuncture that we have to
Yes.
pay an outside source.
Right. Okay, so $100.
Oh, gosh, they're all sticking to me. They're clinging. That one.
Where's Dale?
Upper right corner.
He doesn't want it.
$100, Dale?
Thank you.
Did you say re-gift it? To June, right?
Right. I was just gonna say that.
Okay, the next one's for 50.
Use that for whatever you want.
This one, I know she doesn't want it either. Anna,
Oh, thank you.
put it towards your program coming up, huh? We're gonna do 2 for 25 each.
Oh, Linda, Anna's
Linda.
friend Linda. She's still
Uh-huh.
on?
She's still on?
Yeah, she's there.
I think that's her.
Gotta speak to us, Linda.
Linda, come back to the phone.
If you don't show or whatever, we're gonna draw again. That's the rules.
Oh, she's not listening.
Going, gone. Sorry.
Okay.
So the first 25 again. Heather LaRose.
There she
There's Heather.
is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the second 25? I always wonder who the one was.
I know, the one I just dropped. Sorry.
Kim.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Welcome.
All right.
Right.
I want to thank everybody, especially Dr. Nelson, for being here and talking. I hope everybody learned something. I hope everybody, what's she doing? What's Michelle doing? Learned something about health and what you can do and side effects of different things. Maybe you can talk to other people that are going down that road and help guide them and maybe give them some good idea. So, you know, education is powerful. We just need to know and learn, etc. You all know that we love you very much. We want to be here for you and do anything we can to support and help you. And if I don't know the answer, I know the person that does, and that's Dr. Nelson. Okay. So give us a call anytime. Thank you for being here.
Mhm.
God bless you. Have a great weekend. Stay warm if you're where it's cold and stay cool if you're where it's hot.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone. See some of you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks.
Okay.
welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I can stop recording now.